All right, good morning, everybody. Hope you're having yourselves a fantastic start to the AM here and are ready, right, for a fantastic trading day. This has been a extremely choppy period for us in the last couple weeks, and the market has been taking my lunch money, right, charging me tuition here for the last little bit, to the point where I need to make a few changes. And the changes, right, are not like fundamental or anything along those lines, but it's just about being a little bit more patient on entry so that I stop getting faked out and seeing things run. Because that for me is fundamentally incredibly frustrating. I put these entry rules here inside the Discord, but just read them out here very quickly. And then we'll kind of start mapping things out and figure out what we want to do here today. So on high vol breakouts, right, which is, we'll say, like this scenario here, right? So yesterday, this 955 scenario, we want to look for, obviously the high vol breakout, same scenario as always. And then we want to use the low of this confirmation candle, right, as our stop loss location. Even if we get separation away from that confirmation and we're not able to use that aggressive entry technique, we can still look to buy back in on this low vol pullback as long as we basically see a consistent volume profile. So, even if it takes multiple candles, fine, not the end of the world. Basically, it's see bears fail on this attempt to reclaim control. Once they've failed in that attempt, then that gives me confidence that not only will this stop loss hold, but that my entry timing should be relatively sufficient. On high volume separation trades, right? So something like, this 950, right, standard, or even this 10 a.m. standard here on NQ, we want to look for, again, right, a bearish failure. So when we're a little bit more extended away from the range, I want to see price action fail in that attempt to reclaim the stop loss. So if I were to take that trade there yesterday, you get stopped out at 2156.25, and then this thing runs up, right, 125 points before it ever slows back down. So the idea here again is see bears fail before they reclaim control, and then once you see that first green candle after that bearish failure, that then becomes your catalyst, right, to look to jump in and take advantage of that momentum here to the upside. So really what we're going to be moving away from here short term is using the aggressive entry technique, because every time we're using the aggressive entry technique, we end up getting faked out, shaken out, and then price action moves without me. So what I'm trying to do here is basically just define two other variables, right, that I can use or take advantage of that will set me up for hopefully a opportunity to take advantage of some of this momentum inside this market. So those are the two strategies or the two tweaks here to my entry technique. It's going to require just a little bit more patience. With that patience, right, potentially will mean that I'm going to miss some opportunities, right? So if I don't get that criteria to set up, then I will not be getting any trades, and ultimately that might not be a bad thing while we wait for CPI here on Thursday. The other element, right, that we've seen here in the last couple days, pretty much going from, say, the 25th of September onward, is it's been one green candle, one red candle, 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 one green candle. What's going on here today, right? So although I felt a little bit like Dr. Seuss mapping that out there a little bit, this is very much just a one day up, one day down type bit of price action. And it's about, adapting to that a little bit here, right? Allowing one side to clearly fail before we jump in, and to just be very deliberate and diligent with our process before we take any trades. Did also another thing there yesterday, which is a little bit maybe different, but did a little P&L chart here where I just wanted to visualize basically how my price action or how my personal P&L reacts, right, relative to indexes. And if I'm looking at high volatility opportunities basically since the start of the year, we've done a very good job taking advantage of markets when they're trending higher, right? Trending lower, or breaking down. And it's those periods where price action gets stuck, where I need to start deploying a slightly different entry technique so that my P&L can continue to climb. And then fundamentally, right, we're also just going to be looking for separation away from the short-term consolidation. And when we do finally get that separation, that'll kind of be that trigger for us to start using that aggressive entry technique. So I know opening 5 minutes there, a lot of maybe concepts to break down, and I'll do my best to explain them and kind of go over them as things are coming together here intraday. But that's absolutely going to be the plan here this morning. Slightly different entry logic, just be a little bit more patient. Look for bearish failure if I'm bullish, look for bullish failure if I'm bearish. And then once we have that combo of information, can look to take advantage of it. Essentially, right, the thesis here is let your stop loss become your entry price, right? Essentially, that's the base idea in choppy markets. So we'll see if we can take advantage of that here today. So with that being said, let's start mapping things out here, figure out what we want to do this morning, and let's have ourselves a fantastic trading day. So good morning, Suresh, Ben, Salstein, Brian, Steven, Jeremy, Craig, Bergs, Daniel, Mike, Ruben, John, Jeff, Constantine, Tanja, Bugs, Sammy, Chad, Travis, and Kenneth. Hope you're all having yourselves a fantastic start to the morning here. Good morning, Fernando. And let's have ourselves a strong trading day. So first things first, good morning, Matt. First things first, what's the count here on ES? Let's start there. Good morning, Brett. Yeah, Jack, spot on. Good morning, man. 2 out of 3 here to the upside without volume, and it's just inside consolidation, right? So it's, we'll call it weak trending price action. And that makes sense in multiple ways, right? One, we've seen price action not really move, right, since, say, the 19th of September. We're pretty much, you know, within 30 points, right, of those highs. So not exactly a level of enthusiasm there. But we're also identifying this as a possible, like, wedge pattern or zone of consolidation just under all-time highs. Sorry, coffee almost went down the wrong pipe there. So we're going to look for a high vol breakout, right, or high vol separation away from this, or a high vol breakdown within. What we've also seen, right, we just talked about there at the start of the session, one day up, one day down, one day up, one day down, and yesterday a green bar, right? We're at that trend line resistance. So seeing a rejection off of that trend line for a move back down towards that lower trend line certainly wouldn't be unexpected here today. So, although we do have a bias here in either direction, we are going to be a little bit more cautious here to the upside. And then we can play a possible fake out here off the lows of this range. But that's probably not the primary element here that I'm going to be focusing towards. And then we're looking for an ORB above, you know, towards 58.10, 58.30, and then we can kind of map it out like 58.50. Cool. To the downside here, right, we're basically looking for a fake out at this trend line or above this trend line for a move back down towards, say, 57.40. If I can get that price action to behave that way, then we're setting ourselves up here for an opportunity to take advantage of that momentum. So similar plan to what we had there yesterday. We're just closer to that rejection target here now. We're looking for that ORB fake out, right? Failed breakout higher, see bears reclaim control, see bulls fail after that reclaim control, and then we should have a clean path down towards, say, that 57.40 area. Does that make sense? Either looking for a high vol breakout above this trend, right? Give me a trend line breakout, or, right, we're looking for a rejection at this trend line for a move back down towards sort of this zone. Two schools of thought here, right? One, you get a positioning trade here as you kind of try to front run tomorrow's CPI, or, right, you kind of get that consolidation, just waiting for that CPI to sort of establish itself. We also have decent amount of Fed speakers here today. Generally, days of Fed speakers end up being kind of just days of consolidation, right? Without necessarily being anything too impressive. We got Goolsby talking. He's always a little bit of a chaotic merchant. And then we got wholesale inventories here as well at 10 a.m. So if I were to put money, right, on it, I would say that today ends up being a mean reversion chop day, right, versus a breakout day. But let's see if that ends up being the scenario. And we've got clear plans for either basically play here today. All right. NQ, what's the count here? How do we feel? So again, similar type pattern here, right? Yeah, it's a 1 out of 3. We'll call this like a 1.5 here. Just because I've seen this candle also be green so far this morning. But it tells us essentially the same story, right? Where it's weak trending price action. And so I'm going to be looking for basically a fake out here off of like 2,400, right? Or a fake out above this trend line for a move back down towards 20K, or a high vol breakout above this trend line to kind of go towards like 2,600. And then if we're looking for a pop above, we'll say 2,350. So 2,400 will be our starting point. Then we got 25, 26. Good morning, Brian. And then we'll go 27. We can map it out to 21. That's fine. Again, same narrative like we just talked about there with ES. We'd like to see, or we think probably the most likely outcome here is a mean reversion day. But we need to see, yeah, basically bulls fail right at these highs so that bears can step back in. Or, right, we need to see bears get invalidated and give us basically, you know, an opposite of that one up, one down that we've seen here in the last little bit. And then same thing here, right? ORB fake out off of the upper trend line. So rejection here at like this 2,300 or even above, right? 2,350, 2,400, high volume sell off right at that area certainly pushes us back down towards 20K. Make sense? Hey, Vitali. Yeah, makes sense, guys. Makes sense. All right, cool. All right, CL. So big trend line rejection there yesterday, right? Increasing outlier volume, bearish engulfing candle, bearish engulfing on volume. So this is our probably clearest trending bit of price action here this morning, right? We'll call this a 3 for 3 here to the downside. So we've got trending price action here lower, right? So we've got no bull case here. Yeah, I can't really see an example here, maybe until like $68 where I'd want to be bullish based off of just today's price action. So this will be an NA. And then we're going to look for ORB, fake out, breakout, right, scenario. Targeting like 72, then 70, 50, right, then 69. Nice. And so we're at 72.38, so we'll go 72, 71.50, 71, 70, 50, 70. Cool. And then just sanity check here. So today's the 9th, right? So we got crude oil inventories here at 10:30. So again, this might be a little bit choppy until that 10:30 time frame. Yeah, let's see how this goes. All right, Apple, higher high, higher low, decreasing volume gap down. So 1 out of 3 here. Didn't quite give us that inside bar, but got close. So this is a bit of a channel here, possibly at this point. So I'll probably need to get above like 228 if we're going to be nicely bullish. Cool. Okay, Tesla. Was that an inside bar? It's close. Looks like it just maybe made a lower low. But again, right, doji, green candle, decreasing volume gap down. So we're still looking for that 240 breakdown or that 251 breakout. Not much changing, except that minus turns into a plus. All right, Microsoft, fake out lower, decreasing volume, gap up. So 2 out of 3 here to the upside without volume. So a little bit more similar to the indexes. And we're going to look for a breakout over 417.50. And then to the downside here under 408. So not much changing there as well. Okay, Amazon inside bar. We nailed it. So we're looking for a high vol breakout over 184, right? Or a high vol breakdown here under 180. Again, not too much changing here. We had a day of consolidation there yesterday. We don't need to see too much difference. All right, AMD. Green candle, decreasing volume, gap up. So 2 out of 3 here to the upside. Might want to do bottom up gap fill. Sorry, top down gap fill. Right, and then we're probably going to want to see, 175 continue to hold and break out. Semiconductor names, right, like AMD and NVIDIA, have been the sociopaths that have been driving or keeping markets relatively propped up, as we've seen like a little bit of a stealth rotation here away from some mega cap names. So the more consistent the narrative we can get here across the board, the higher conviction we're going to feel about finally getting that trend line breakout. What we want to see here, right, on the leading names level is basically a consistent narrative to drive those indexes higher. If we're going to get mid cap names breaking out, but mega cap names kind of hanging out, then we're not going to see very much enthusiasm here on, say, an ES or an NQ. But if we finally start to see cooperation across the board from a Microsoft, from an Apple, an AMD, an Amazon, an NVIDIA, a Tesla, all of our kind of favorite Tea Party members, then we're finally going to get that opportunity to get that clean bit of trending price action. So it's very important for us that we continue to watch essentially these leading indicators or these leading names as indicators so that we can get a base idea of a consistent story. Once that story becomes consistent and everything syncs up, then we should finally get that opportunity to push price action and get that clean follow through. If not, base assumption here is chop until proven otherwise. Okay, NVIDIA, same story there, right, as AMD. 2 out of 3 to the upside without volume. We're at 134.50 here. Pretty nice. We're going to look at, say, a 135 breakout, half space towards 136, and then maybe back up towards 140. Again, this will set up potentially as a Bollinger Band reversal type setup to the downside, and then basically a 135 breakout higher. Hey, good morning, SG. Okay, Meta inside bar. So we're still looking for that 603 breakout or that 580 breakdown. Cool. Okay, Netflix. Bullish engulfing candle. Not quite bullish engulfing on volume. Maybe something like this as like that trend line support, holding relatively well, all things considered. And maybe we'll call this like an ascending wedge breakout. So then now need to get up and over that 726 handle, right, to be interesting. And I love ascending wedges because it gives us a clear breakout target here to the upside and a clear trend line failure here to the downside. So a breakdown here under 696 sets us up here for that bearish scenario, which is a little bit far away here today. And then that bull case, right, if we can get a good volume standard, puts us over that 726. So it's a very textbook pattern breakout. All right, Google inside bar here. And it's an inside bar on increasing volume, which is generally my least favorite type of price action. Right? Because if it's increasing volume and the volume was strong, why couldn't we either trap bears? Why couldn't we push up higher than we actually did? Seems like a little bit of a mixed bag story there, right? So I'm not super enthusiastic about that. So we still need to see a breakout above basically Monday's high on what now ends up looking like kind of a half-baked wedge, right? So I'm going to be pretty unenthusiastic about this until it gets up over, Monday's high. Okay, and then VIX here. 20 spot 5-1, so still remains extremely elevated, for lack of a better term, setting maybe us up here for a category 5 storm. There was a little, it's funny how markets rhyme here sometimes. I'm not sure if this is necessarily my thesis, but it's just something I was reading yesterday. But very often, or I shouldn't say very often, in 2008, the Fed cut rates in September by 50 basis points. Same thing they did here this year. And then on October 9th, we ended up having like a monster sell-off day with the VIX reading in the 20s. So I'm not saying, that's necessarily going to be the scenario here today, but it's just kind of like a funny, yeah, no worries, Mike. Have yourself a great day, man. Best of luck with the kiddos. But it's just funny how markets rhyme like that here sometimes, and how, history likes to repeat itself here just a little bit. For full disclosure, in 2008, I was not trading. I was in high school, I guess. And so, I've never financially recovered from not buying a house in 2008, but I was too busy at recess. So, we're going to see, how markets want to behave here today. I still think we're waiting for CPI more than we are waiting for anything else. And then we have kind of fake out scenarios in either directions here today. And let's see if we can get that enthusiasm before we really do anything aggressive. If we can get that level of oomph, we can get that pop, we can get that breakout, then we're going to be in great shape. If we can't, no worries. I'm going to be hanging out, sitting on hands, being very, very disciplined. So like I mentioned, right, I've got slightly modified entry rules here today on high vol breakouts through the range, like we saw here on ES yesterday. Say 5-minute time frame, right? On this example here, we're going to place our stop loss on the pullback entry technique, and we're basically going to see a low vol pullback prior to us jumping in. And then once we see that low vol pullback, then we can look to pull the trigger. Even if it takes multiple candles, even if we get that separation away from that range, it's important for us to see that bearish failure prior to us being aggressive with our entry technique. And then on something like this high vol breakout here, on separation that is away from the opening range area, so this 10 o'clock candle here on NQ, we're going to look for a fake out under that candle's lows. So if we're to place a stop loss there, 2156.25, this candle here, right, this 1020 would have faked this out. Once we see bears fail in that attempt to reclaim control, and then we see that bullish candle stepping back in, that becomes our reason to jump in and place that trade. So slight modification here to our entry technique in this choppy price action. It makes very limited sense, in my opinion, to use the aggressive entry technique. So I just want to see bears fail first if I'm bullish, bulls fail if I'm bearish, and once I see those failures, I should have a relatively clean path to take advantage of. So we'll map those things out. We'll break them down as things are setting up, and hopefully, right, we can put ourselves in situations here where it's easy to be successful. Good morning, Howell. Good morning, Randall. Hope you guys are ready for a big trading day. So we got about 4 minutes here till market open. I'm going to go make myself a quick cup of coffee, spend a few minutes here just visualizing a successful trading day, playing back in my head what these new entry ideas are going to look like, right? What a bullish failure looks like if I have a bearish setup, what a bearish failure looks like if I have a bullish setup, and then just visualizing, managing my position, controlling my risk, being disciplined, structured, and being, basically the best trader I can be. So let's have ourselves a great day. Be back at it again in a few minutes, and let's crush today's trading session. All right, guys, let's have ourselves a great day. Good morning, Juan. Hope you're having yourself a strong session here. And let's see how things shape up here, right? So base expectation is chop until proven otherwise, right? So we're looking for potential rejections here off of these trend lines for moves back down towards the upper trend line, right? We've seen 1 day up, 1 day down, 1 day up, 1 day down. So Dr. Seuss technical analysis here suggests that today will be a red day. We'll see if that actually ends up being the scenario here. But that would be the probably path of least resistance in the short term. And we're going to be looking to see if we can get that opportunity. So fake out, high vol rejection off of that area sets us up here pretty nicely. And we're going to trust that that price action behaves like a zone. Doesn't necessarily need to touch it, but rejection off of that like general vibe, right, for lack of a better term, would be what we're looking for. And then ideally, right, we get slightly bigger ranges than what we're seeing here so far. 17.5 point range on NQ, relatively pathetic. And that would make it a little bit challenging for us to get some tradable range. On ES, a little bit better, right, with it being, you know, nearly 6 points. That's fine. But yeah, we'd expect today's range to be, I mean, yesterday was pretty small. So we'd like to see it maybe be a little bit bigger than what it is here now. Any questions here, team? Okay, so 5 3/4 points. 34 points on NQ, so that's a little bit better. Yes, right, not really too, or sorry, CL, not really too interesting here until inventories drop. So again, here, fake outs higher, right, would be the scenario that we're most likely looking for. But relatively thin volume open. I was looking at these yesterday. Called volume candles. I mean, they're the same. They just make opening candles, right, more obvious if they're high volume or low volume. So NQ maybe a little bit better. What we get? 7.6 versus 8.7 or 07. So on these 3-min time frames, not exactly a ton of enthusiasm here yet. And it's an early little fake out lower on NQ. So 2250. So if this ends up being an increasing volume standard, then that'll be interesting, right, from a possible trading perspective. I don't think it's going to get there. Yeah, great question. So it's whatever time frame you're looking at. If I'm on the 3-min time frame, then the opening range is the high and low of the first 3-min candle. If I'm on the 5-min time frame, it's the high and low of the first 5-min candle. So it's whatever time frame you're looking at that opening range for that first candle's open. So if you're looking at the 30-minute, it's the 30-minute first candles, 30 minutes highs and lows that you're basically looking for. Well, we're probably not expecting a massive volume standard to show up here today, so I wouldn't say that that's super expected or required. What I need to see here more than anything, Daniel, is I need to see high volume breakdowns, right? And then once I see those high volume breakdowns, and high volume is going to be relative, right, in this period of consolidation, I need to see bulls fail or bears fail before I'm relatively willing to trade. So I need to see separation away from the range or breakdowns through the range on volume. Not expecting it to be bigger volume than what we saw there yesterday. And then once I see that, then if I see a bullish failure when I'm bearish, or a bearish failure if I'm bullish, then I kind of have the green light. Yeah, so what I'm trying to do here, Spiro, is basically look for the first time frame that gives me a story that matches my daily plan. So my daily plan here, right, is a rejection off of this trend line for a move down towards this lower trend line, right, or a breakout basically above the trend line for continuation up towards, whatever these levels are. So what I'm looking for here is what's the first 3-min, 5-min, 10-min candle that gives me that same story. And then once I see it on that time frame, I'm just going to trade it on the 3-min. I'm going to trade it on the 5-min. I'm going to trade it on the 10-min, whichever one it is. I don't really then switch to the 1-min time frame or the 30-min time frame and change it up. It's what's the first time frame that gives me the same signal or same setup here as my general daily plan. And that for me is then already switching to my lower time frames. So again, here now we're possibly setting up for that bullish failure here on ES. And then we have some data at 10 a.m. We've got some Fed speak here later this afternoon or later in this morning. So again, not a huge amount of rush. Pretty big volume all of a sudden. So this could possibly be that high volume rejection. 2.5 minutes to go, so we got some time. But this would be the thesis that we want to see. And then stop loss would have to be, you know, high of day. And then wait for a pullback, right, to justify, you know, that rejection at, say, that 2,300. Oh, I gotta say, it is so cold here now. It's so sad. Ugh, excuse me. Yeah, I hear that, Greg. It's not quite that here, but we did get in the single digits this morning. And it felt like shit. Okay, so ES, not as impressive of a fake out here. NQ, much more so. And so what we want to do here, right, is stop loss high of day, so 2,300. We want to see a low vol pullback into this area. If it takes multiple candles, fine, not the end of the world. Be pretty patient here. No aggressive entry technique here, and still while we're dealing with this chop. If it ends up breaking down and we see, you know, it not wanting to give us that pullback, then we're going to want to wait for a retest here of approximately 2257 once it's made lower lows. So, you know, if we're going to use the aggressive entry technique, we want to see that area basically get faked out as a stop loss, see bulls fail on an attempt to reclaim above that stop loss location. And then once they have, that can then become our entry trigger. So basically what I'm looking for here, right, is bullish failure before being bearish. So I've got a good bearish signal, but I need to see that failure or that confirmation that bulls are just done with this price action before I'm willing to be assertive with my entries. Because that's really been, when I'm looking at my trades here recently, the ones that have been most frustrating, where I should have been green, have been on basically where I've had the thesis correct, but I get shaken out of my entry before I jump in. So looking back yesterday, I posted out that video. I did a little bit more analysis. Basically, every trade where if my entry was my stop loss, I would have been really in good position here and dominating. So while we're dealing with this choppy market, it seems like it wants to create max pain first. And then once it's created that max pain, then we can get a tradable opportunity. So We've got a good bearish setup here right now. We want to see now bulls fail in some context. So that would be like a low vol pullback scenario, something along those lines. And then from there, right, we can have ourselves a little bit of joy. Does that make sense? So again, we're going to wait for this candle to close, right? Another $1.15 or so to wait. And it's basically fight back against this chop by being slower in our decision-making process, being more deliberate in the price action that we're looking to see. Glad to hear that, Cordell. Hopefully we get ourselves a nice bit of trending price action here pretty soon. It's been a very challenging market, but I'll always do my best to basically break down my thought process in as much detail as I possibly can. When I was working institutionally, I sat next down to a trader named Steph, and I really appreciated the way that he would teach me how to trade, which was that same thing. Basically stream of consciousness, telling me exactly what he felt, what he was doing, why he was doing it. And then I basically got to learn through osmosis. And so my objective here a decade later is to basically pass on that same level of access, because I think that's the only way to successfully learn how to trade. And I can't always promise you it'll be pretty. I'm a deeply flawed individual, but I always promise you to be as transparent as I possibly can be. So it's a little bit of a low vol pullback here so far, right? So we're going to start to think about entries inside now this area. We would like to see maybe a little bit more still, but we're in okay shape here so far. So now it's just about thinking about sizing, right? So stop loss would have to be 2,350. And you're looking for an entry above 71.75, right? So, it'd probably be a one contract play here. You're risking about 30 points at 71, so that's $600. So you'd like to see a deeper pullback than that to be within, your max loss number. For me, that number is about $500. So I'd be looking for an entry 75, 78, something like that. And again, there's no rush to jump in here, right, and be forceful. And if it doesn't give me this exact opportunity, right, I'm happy to sit this thing out and wait until it gives me separation either away from the range or a cleaner narrative, right, post 10 a.m. data. So this trade is also going to have a little bit of a timer on it, right, where I'm not going to want to hold this through 10 a.m. and I'll close this within a minute, right, of that candle opening. So right now we've got 8 minutes. That's plenty of time. But if it requires a longer wait than that, so if it's like 9:57 by the time it pulls into my entry zone, I'll just wait it out and see if I can get a secondary opportunity. And again, there's no FOMO here, right, over feeling like I've missed this move here so far. I've already said, right, I need my entry to be above 275, right, as a starting point to be able to get the risk management that I want on this position. So the fact that it's 263 and I'm still not in this trade doesn't cause me any stress or anxiety, right? As we pull back into that entry zone, I'm then going to want to wait to see that correct price reaction. So talk about that elevator up, stairs down, right? Or elevator down, stairs up in this context. That's going to be what I want to see, right? I don't want to see it absorbing the buyers, right, or the sellers inside that area very easily. I want to see them get like it's like running out of breath, as if it's got like heart palpitations as it's climbing up the 30th floor, right? I want this to be out of shape price action versus looking like some fitness freak that can seem to deal with elevation gain like no problem. So, you know, I really want to see it struggle once it's above that 275 area. Once it is struggling, right, and it looks like it's out of breath, then that becomes my reason to pull the trigger, as long as I'm not only happy with my risk reward ratio, but happy with my max risk allocated to that trade. So anything above that 275 starts to get interesting because I'm risking about $500 then at that point. But we're 40 ticks away, right, from that bid. So we got a little bit of work to do here and just requiring myself to be patient. And again, it's just a double inside bar setup here. So nothing is telling me that bulls are particularly strong yet. But I still need to see everything else set up and give me those criteria before I'm willing to be aggressive. $267. Gets close. I mean, hits that 69 and then dumps. Nice. So let's see how it reacts here now to this candle opening and closing. Man, I need to get some insulated coffee mugs. Again, if it breaks down here, no worries. I'm not interested in chasing this until it does exactly what I want it to do, right? I'm trying to make my plan as specific as possible so that it basically becomes binary. I'm not relying on this to feel like the right entry. I'm waiting for it to follow my process exactly so that I then can take advantage of that play. If it doesn't follow it exactly, I'm not going to hold it against myself that it moved without following my rules. Price action is tough enough as is, so I can't torture myself with hypotheticals thinking that I would have made money on like a random set of behaviors. So now it's 9:56. We talked about that 9:57 as being a possible fear point for us. This will set up potentially now with that 10 a.m. data to give us that overreaction pullback towards that 2300 zone. So I'm going to wait this thing out with 3 minutes to go because we haven't seen it go more than, it's a triple inside bar here still, right? So we haven't seen it separate away from this fake out price here yet. So maybe the market's waiting for something, right? Maybe it's waiting for that data to drop. But best case scenario, right? Or say worst case scenario, right? You get faked out on wholesale inventories and then it breaks down. Best case scenario, you get a weak pullback back into say 288. Then I can buy 2 contracts and get better position sizing and more upside potential, right, with my P&L. So I have no reason to rush this here yet. Again, I'm still going to be very, very cautious and patient until this gives me the move that I'm exactly looking for. So no rush here. So the plan makes sense to everyone? Yes, no, hopefully. I'm going to take that as a yes. So watch for the algo reaction here, right? Yeah, ES1 will be the December contracts here, Suck. So yeah, that's exactly what I'm trading here right now. So the forward contract here for now is the December contract. So that's perfect. All right, so watching closely here. Come on. Don't tell me I missed it. Oh, fuck. Sorry. I'm trying to not to curse, guys. Apologies. Okay, so come on, give me a 275 here or better. So I have everything set up, finger on the trigger, just waiting to see if price action can get into my ideal entry price. It's been close. Had a 278. Maybe I could have pulled the trigger on. I didn't quite find the courage. Just missed it there. Great entry, Greg. Nice work. Let's see if I can still get one. Nice work, Igor. Come on. Give it to me, baby. All right, there we go. So I am in 277.75. This is a one contract play. Ooh, not good. All right, see if we can break down here. Again, a little bit of fake out higher. Definitely feels good. Yeah, this is short. You can see on my instructions here. In NQ short, it's red. So short, red means short. All right, let's see if this thing can really give me some separation lower here. Nice work, Karat. Come on, don't take your time. So a little bit early on my entry, objectively, right? A little bit early on my entry here. Ah, fuck. All right, I'm out. Ah, come on. I got a fill price at 298.50 on my stop loss. Man. Yeah, it was at the high, right? Stop loss at high of day. So again, my instructions are right here over what I'm trying to do. Try to be as transparent as I can, right? So I write it down. Stop loss was high of day. And got stopped out. I'm very frustrated. So is this now that possible high vol breakout, or is this a fake out higher? I lost $4.95 on that. So this could possibly be setting up as that fake out. Man, that is cruel if it is. Very, very cruel. All right, well, I'm going to try this again for that rejection thesis, right? Failed breakout here, potentially. Let's wait this 50 seconds. Same thing happening on ES. Oh, that was mean. So mean. I mean, yeah, for sure. But it's not like one single participant, right? It's a multitude of participants. So there's a lot of dumb people that work there too. So stop loss have to be 307 now. And that could be 2 contracts. So I still think my thesis is in play here to a certain extent. But let's see. I mean, this 15 might be telling me otherwise. So possible trend line breakout scenario here. Same thing on ES as well. Decent volume. Sure, but the price action hasn't bounced back or hasn't sold off, right, based on that weak data. So, you know, market's absorbing that news relatively well. Obviously, I'd still like to, I mean, if I could play a fake out scenario off of these highs, that would be the better risk reward ratio. But I'm playing my system, right? So I either get, we played the high vol rejection thesis here, right at 940. Look for that pullback, got shaken out above high of day. If high of day doesn't act as resistance, right, initially, how many times does it have to make a new high of day before it dumps, right, on that data? So NQ here to the upside is where it starts to get maybe a little bit interesting. We want to see this reaction towards these lows or a pullback here at some point. $292. All right, I am long here. Average price 2309. right, so let's see if this thing can push. Good entry, Karat. Very good entry. One contract, one contract. Here it says one contract, right? Always tell you guys my position sizing here, right? Always, always. With two contracts, I would have been risking 800 bucks or 700 bucks. Too much. Okay, so far so good here. So far so good. Would like to see this continue flying higher. Otherwise, I got to get out and just take the win for what it is. Okay, so you can keep climbing here. We're in okay shape. So yeah, two contracts would have been $800 worth of risk on that position, right? Which is more than I'm willing to accept. In general, right, my max risk is about 500 bucks that I'm willing to take on a trade here per account. So as is, I was risking about $380, which is less than my 500, so I'm willing to take that shot. Now let's see if this thing can really push, though. I would like to see it hold above that 320. Oh, Jeremy, I'm sorry, man. All right, see if this thing's got juice. So that's 300 bucks. Let's see if we can keep going. Come on. Okay, there's 500. We're in good shape here, team. So let's see if this thing can keep climbing higher here. Really extend. And get us to a freaking green. Come on. Okay, this pullback, starting to not like this pullback very much. See if it can recover. So we got a high vol breakout signal above the opening range, right? So my setup here is, here's my plan, right? ORB fake out or ORB breakout above the trend line. Right? So that's exactly what we got. We got an opening range breakout trade on increasing outlier volume above the trend line. So price action told me to the change. My bias here was to play, I have a thesis in either direction. Had a bearish bias, that bearish bias failed. And then saw a textbook bullish setup, so decided to take it. So my thesis, right, is to basically play this, right? ORB breakouts or fakeouts. Based on the pre-market conditions, I'm able to play this in both directions. So I got a setup here to the upside, took it. I trade my system, not my opinion of price action. Nice work, Karat. Let's go. Right? So I can't trust my bias very much. I'm not trying to trade my opinion. I'm trying to trade the price. Does that make sense? All right, come on, keep pushing here. If I can get above 40, that's going to feel really good in the next, 5 minutes. But we're in good shape here, team. We're in good shape. Let's see if we can keep pushing higher. We've survived that pullback. Again, I don't want to see it pull back aggressively like it did. That's stress-inducing price action. But it's good volume. There's 1,000. Come on. So at this point, right, we probably want to see it hold 23.30 as like a sign of strength. So 4 minutes to go. Let's see if we can do it. Oh, fuck. I need to find a different exhale word. Ben, I'm sorry, man. I'm working on it. This train, I don't even curse very much in real life, but the second I start trading, I'm a sailor. Come on, keep pushing here. Above 40 is A+. Above 30 is keep holding. All right, here we go, team. Here we go. So that's 800. We have needed this, Karate. We have needed this. Price action has been sticky for a while, and we finally get that breakout outside of this trend line, and we're finally getting some follow through, right? Doesn't feel like too much of a coincidence. Well, two things. I really needed the break last week, not because necessarily the market, but you know, the visa stuff that I'm working on and all this kind of stuff. It's very exhausting. It's very intrusive, and yeah, you just don't realize how little self-care you do. So I needed like a little bit of a break where I could go. I mean, I visited an aircraft carrier, which was chef's kiss awesome. Thank you, Yabo. Needed this, needed this. So let's see if this thing can push us up higher here. But we're in great shape. Again, if this thing holds 350, we're going to be in even better position to maybe run this up towards 2400. Yeah, I hear that, Juan. It's a disaster, man. It's a disaster. I should have just dug a tunnel. Would have been less work. So it's just very exhausting, dealing with lawyers, all those expenses, having to spend so much money. You just don't realize how burnt out you get. And I will say, one thing I'm not very good at is self-care. I kind of neglect that pretty easily. Like, I exercise and I do these sort of things, but I get very routine-based. And so I just get stuck in these rhythms and then don't know what to do with myself. It's quite the aggressive pullback. Did we close at 43? We survived it, so for now, I'm still going to hold on. So it looks good. Well, it's just shaking out weak price action by the min. Yeah, it held. It closed 43.25. So it did what we wanted it to do as like an A+ scenario. So let's see if it can make higher highs here, right, and keep pushing. Stop loss will now be the low of this candle, so 330.25. And it's hard to trust your plan here, right? It's really hard to trust your plan. You know, all that baggage from a choppy market, all that pain, all that suffering. So, you know, it's hard to trust it, but that's what we make. That's basically what we're paid to do, right? So let's see if it can keep giving me higher highs here. It's 10:32. We just had crude oil inventories drop. I think that was probably what that algo dump was, or that algo move, right, at 10:30. That looks 7-point sell-off, whatever it was, to 36. Does that make sense? So that's $800. Come on. Give me some more juice. If I actually remember correctly here, this 2350 might have been something. It was 24, fine. We're above that 2040. All right, so let's see if now on this higher high, right, it really flies. Let's turn this into a nice day here. Oh, what a life. Come on. We want to see it really blast through here as it makes higher highs. Not quite sure if it has yet. It's still technically an inside bar. So let's see if it can really push. There it goes. Now we want to see it really fly higher here. Trying to do some math in my head very quickly. So I can't look to buy in another contract here. My average price would be above my stop loss location. Come on, come on. Again, survive that little pullback. Let's see if it can really go higher again, though. It's making me just a tad nervous. Don't want to give back anything here. You're long now, Jeremy? All right, so let's see if this thing can push. Again, we survived. We survived. Yeah, I don't necessarily hate it. But yeah, hopefully your position sizing is tight. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Can't complain about that then. So again, ideally would like to see this thing now close right above here. Right? Because that's where we've seen it get stuck. Stop loss is still this yellow line. We'll turn it a red line. Everything else is pretty much ripping. So it's 1040. Biggest concern, right, is it might just be out of momentum at this point. Let's see. Let's see. Still a higher high, still a higher low, so it is bullish characteristics. But we'd like to see strength, much stronger still. So it's like 800 bucks here, right? It's nothing to complain about. Not bad per account. I'd say the worst thing over the last couple days was sisters love to ask questions anytime you have a red day. Oh my gosh. Panic that the gravy train is over. Tell you what, team. Managing funds for other people, it's a pain in the ass. Oh my gosh. I don't know about a great man. I don't know about that. That's giving me too much credit. I'm just a freak who likes trading. Let's see if we can maybe get out here. Trying to sell on a pop higher here. Might be getting too cute. All right, there we go, guys. I'm out. Average exit price 20.3275. Woo! Man, all right, I needed that today. All right, so good day here. Good day. Nice work, Herschel. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. That was the right call to close. Absolutely the right call to close. $65 total on the day, Dwayne. That's fair. That's fair. So we have now a possible second entry opportunity, right? This would be on the 10-min time frame. So we talked about this in the pre-market. Basically, on high ball separation away from the range, look for a bearish failure at or under that candle's low. So this is our high volume separation away from the trend line, right? And away from the opening range. A fake out under this area and then bullish control back at that spot, right, would give us a signal to basically retest and move towards high of day. Well, to be honest with you, Brian, I don't see an obvious reversal signal anywhere, right? That's a doji on increasing volume, fine. That's a least bearish candle on increasing volume. That's not a reversal. So we saw the fake out above high a day. We saw that fake out not hold. I think, you know, if you're trying to optimize for that here so much, you're almost like overcorrecting for something, right? Because all you're going to do is when you start to do multi-time frame analysis is just look for whatever piece of information confirms your fears, right? Not necessarily what gives you the confidence to trust your plan. So I don't think we did anything wrong there. We established the area that we wanted to see price action hold on the 15, right? Wanted to see it hold those lows. It couldn't. You get out when it can't, right? So we have to find that balance of essentially trusting our thesis. Because there's always a reason, right, on some time frame to give you what you're looking for. And so that's what we want to try to avoid. So for me, plus 472 on the day here. And there's a little part of me that says I should just take it and run. I hear you, Andy. That drawdown's been, you know, this week, right, where we've been stuck inside that range has been a freaking absolute pain. Let's put it that way. How are we feeling today, team? Better? Yeah, if you're still in your evaluation, yeah. And it'll be at the, I think from your billing date. So the day you signed up. I don't think it's like October 1, December 1, June 1, whatever. It's a month from your billing date. So these volume candles are a little bit interesting. They really help you visualize these low vol pullbacks really, really well, right? So here's our signal candle, right? Fat candle, fat on volume. And then your pullbacks, right? It is a cheap little low vol pullback here. So this continues to be a little bit interesting, but we want to see a fake out under that 306 and then some sort of evidence that bulls are defending that, you know, fat candle's lows. Look, I will say this from personal experience here, Andy. I mean, I mentioned it already just a little bit, but it's a lot less stressful to deal with drawdown in your evaluation accounts, right? Or your prop firm accounts than it is to deal with drawdown in your personal accounts. Like joking about how, you know, managing those expectations of either yourself, your family, people you manage money for, that just compounds the stress significantly more. Then, okay, worst case scenario, yeah, you lose $100. It's not, doesn't feel good, obviously, right? We care about our trading. We want to be successful. We want to be whatever. But I will say from experience, it's a lot. You don't get text messages or checkup calls when your Top Step account is down. But if you have to say to your wife, hey, or your partner, I mean, in my case, my sisters and my dad, hey, I'm down 60K here. It's like, well, Michael, that's what I make in a year. What the fuck's wrong with you? Quote. And then complaining when I'm taking time off. So for my money, trading with prop firm capital is a tremendous way to manage risk. It's an absolutely fantastic way of managing risk. But it's not like we want to, oh, sorry, Ricky. It's not like we want to not take that seriously. No. I would never send them the links, to be honest. They'd be disgusted with me. You have to understand, my sister, last time we went on holiday together, she told me that she doesn't respect capitalists while you know, having all of her student loans and rent paid for by one. So they're not wired the same way I am. Yeah, I mean, look, everyone's got the things they're motivated by, right? Like, she's a doctor. She does, like, that Doctors Without Borders type stuff. And so I don't understand that side of things, right? Like, it's obviously good to be a good person, but you know, if you don't have a passion for medicine or you don't have a passion for that, there's other ways that you can create value in the world. So yeah, just playing around with these candles, change the color of them. Again, they tell me the same story as everything else we traded. Oh, these are the wrong colors. No, CL for me is a non-interest event here. 3 for 3 to the downside, so I'm not going to go long into it. Okay, so might get a 10-min setup here. Pretty big climb. Shame it had to pull back. I mean, this would have been stressful. I'll pull back into 23.14 to then get that run. I'm never holding through that, right? I'm cursing myself there as it pulls back and tempts me with allowing a nice win turn into a near loss. I'm pulling my hair out at that point. So no realistic expectation I should have held through that. Let's see if we can get this to behave, though. It's pretty tight stop loss. And target would be 400. Ah, you dick. So let's set this up. Let's see if it can pull back here. Stop loss would have to be 360. Entry at 69 or lower. So this could be, 3 contracts in theory. That's annoying. We got shaken out of this before it squeezed higher, though. That's a bit annoying. We'll have to see what that pullback looks like, Sammy. Okay, so watching closely here. It's going to be increasing volume here on the 3-min as well. So there's, limited reasons to say that, hey, I should be afraid of this. So maybe we get an entry here. And again, you're going to expect for bulls to defend inside this area. So this is the entry technique we talked about, or I talked about in that video yesterday I posted. Right? So let's see if this thing can give me a good set of behaviors here. It's 11:02. That's the only maybe concern. Just time of day. But this is maybe slight capitulation. Could also be happening on Fed speak here. Goolsby. So let's see if this thing pull back a little bit. So it'd be a stop loss of 79.50, maybe a little bit lower now. Where is it going to find support? Okay, there we go. So 70.25 stop loss. Entry under 77.25. Be patient, right? We want to see stair pullback into our zone. That's a little bit of an elevator. Okay, that's at least good evidence of our stop loss location holding, right? That 70.25 bounced for now on the first attempt. Again, still not ready to pull the trigger here and jump in. But watching this thing closely. So a weak pullback into the zone would get interesting. You're risking 7 points, right, which is a very tight stop loss. Let's wait for this candle to close, potentially. Good entry, Igor. Great entry. Nice work, Juan. Okay, let's see. Come on. Just gentle here, gentle. Come on. Still being patient. Again, not the right pullback I want to see here yet. Better. All right. So I am in 376.50. Three contract stop loss at 70. Come on. Okay, guys, I'm going to close this. It's not behaving the way I want. All right, guys, so I am out. Scratch trade. No damage. It's not behaving exactly how I want it to. Right, we keep finding a little bit of support off of these pullbacks. And then it's not really going higher. It keeps getting stuffed. So that tells me kind of what Rusty is saying. That maybe this still wants to fake out a little bit before it makes its move. So I'm still happy to keep looking for this. But I don't like this reaction here so far. So, okay, that was a plus $45 win. Maybe that was a little bit aggressive, if you want to call it that. But I'm very skeptical, right? When price action doesn't behave exactly the way that you want, you can reset, right, and wait. Might be the wrong call here now, but... panicked. Well, I got that one wrong. Yeah. That's all right. It's not personal. All right, maybe I feel better now. Yeah, okay, I feel better. All right, one sec, your team, one sec. Stay safe, Jeremy. Hopefully it's all good for you, man. Please don't put yourself or anything like that in danger. I mean, crude keeps flying higher here, but for me, counter trend, so I'm not interested. And this ES looks a little bit interesting. More so maybe than NQ. For longer time frame signal, 15 min, tight wrist, 2.5 points. It's just a little bit late in the morning. That's probably my biggest concern here at this point. And ideally, I'd like to see a failure at these lows. This looks like it might just be squeeze mode. I feel a little bit gross getting shaken out of this. I was on the 3 min. And I don't think it was the wrong decision. It was just not behaving exactly how I wanted. late in the day, right, you want to be green almost instantly. Because if you're not, then, you know, that paranoia of, I mean, all the baggage we've had from the last couple weeks, all the choppy price action, it being too extended, all of a sudden, right, all those feelings come to the forefront. So I reckon, guys, I'm not going to do anything else here. I think the value of having a green day, too powerful for me here to want to do anything that potentially compromises that. So a loss of 495, approximately 496, a win of 968, and then a win of 45 bucks. So 2 for 3 here on the day. Not the worst session in the world. Be nice to see that line starting to go back up. Yeah, no worries, Dwayne. Have yourself a great day, man. Hey, no worries, Spiro. Hopefully you had a profitable session, learned a lot. And yeah, good day. Will not complain here. Will not complain. So now brings me to 115 wins on the year, 70 losses, win rate of 62%. Let me do this. So it feels good. I mean, I think I probably made this trade on the 3-min. Maybe got a little bit too nervy-pervy on this one. But I'll take it, right? Small win, fine. You know, if I took it at 93, I'm laughing and I'm buying the dog a plethora of new toys. But yeah, no real complaints here or concerns. It is Wednesday, so you know, if you guys have any questions you want to ask for the group Q&A, happy to stick around here for a little bit. But I don't anticipate placing any further trades here today. I just want to make sure I have a nice green day. So any questions here, team? Anything you guys want to go over? Any questions here, team? Any questions? Yeah, fire away, Jack. Yeah, so really what you want to do is you want to do all your analysis on ES, right? Or NQ, the minis, and then just do your execution with the micros. The micros will have about 1/20th of the average daily volume as the minis. So you're going to get a lot more outlier or non-outlier volumes as there's just a smaller sample size essentially to deal with. So my recommendation would be to, if you see increasing outlier volume on the minis, then I would trust that versus what you see on the micros. Ah, of course. No, I'm not complaining about you, Jack. I'm complaining about this breakout through 407 that I should have held in hindsight. So it'd been like an extra 900 bucks. That's the way it goes. That's the way she goes. Nice work, Juan. All right. On this little fake out here, I would maybe consider at least trimming your position or pushing your stop loss to like a nice protection of a win. But well done, man. That's good work. Like if this can't close above 400, I'd probably just get out. Because that's wick. You know, it's someone killed this market's dog. It's John Wicking us all over the place. So yeah, I would look to sell any pop here, really, after that rejection looking candle. Sorry, one sec, guys. I'm getting a call. Sorry about that. So yeah, final call for questions here, team. Final call for questions. Final call, team. Final call. All right, team. Well, if no further questions, then I'm going to kill the stream here for the day. Good bounce back session here today, right? We tried to play that rejection scenario, saw that that idea was incorrect, stopped ourselves out, and then flipped our buys to be able to take advantage, right, of this high volume momentum here to the upside. And that led to a nice green day here and a great little recovery session. So appreciate you all fighting through that price action early, establishing and trusting the plan. And then hopefully, right, this now opens taps up with tomorrow's CPI where we can finally get some consistent follow through and get back on track. So appreciate you all. Fantastic trading day here. And yeah, same deal like always. If you have any questions, hit me up outside of market hours. I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, have yourselves a great rest of the day, and we'll be back at it again tomorrow for our next pre-market prep and excellent trading day. Nice, Raim. Hopefully you have yourself a strong finish here. But try not to get too greedy, right? Historically, at this time of day, you're not going to get a ton more follow through until the afternoon. So I'll love to hear that you're nicely green, but try not to do anything here too crazy. And be specific with what your exit plan is here. That'll make life a lot easier for yourself. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. All right, team. See you tomorrow. And looking forward to seeing everyone's debriefs here later this afternoon. Peace.